Does preconditioning work without Bluelink, without a connected services subscription? The Ioniq 5, the EV6, the GV60, the Electrified G80, the Electrified GV70, and all the future EVs coming out from the Hyundai Group, they all rely on the built-in navigation for battery preconditioning. So what happens when you don't have an active subscription? Will they stop working? That's what we are testing today, and as luck would have it, I have not just one, but actually two Hyundai EV loaners. I have this 2023 Ioniq 5 SE, and I also have a 2023 Electrified G80. Both of these loaner vehicles do not have active connected services. They do not have Bluelink subscriptions. They basically didn't activate it, which makes sense. They're just loaner vehicles. You don't need the subscriptions. I'm sure they'll probably activate it at some point for the future owners when they sell it, but for now, it doesn't make sense to have these things active. Anyways, these are the two vehicles we will be testing to see whether preconditioning will work or not. Before I actually roll the test footage, I do want to explore why you might not have Bluelink or a connected services subscription. Number one, eventually, all of us that bought 2022 or 2023 models will reach the end of our 3-year complimentary period. At that point, we have to decide, do we want to pay about $100 a year for each package, or are we just going to say, meh? Now, for me personally, Bluelink has been one of the negatives of ownership with the Ioniq 5. So personally, I don't think I would renew it. And in that case, would I be losing preconditioning if I decided not to renew it? Now, another reason why you might not have it is if you cross the border. I've seen in the forums people mention that if they cross into Canada up north, well, all of a sudden they lose connected services. They lose their Bluelink connection. So if you're road tripping into Canada where it gets very cold, you'll probably want preconditioning, right? Will it work there? So does it work? Let's find out. We're gonna start with some footage in the Ioniq 5. Here it is. Now, just like normal, you go through the navigation settings. You want to select POI categories, then EV charging station. And once that's done, then you wait. And hopefully you'll see those red coils, or for some people a snowflake, show up and it'll say battery preconditioning started. And there you go. So clearly it does work with this Ioniq 5, which does not have Bluelink, does not have connected services. Now let's roll the footage for the Electrified G80. Menus look a little different here, but essentially the same thing. You go into POI category, select EV charging stations. Once you do that, eventually after about a minute and a half, you'll see a different looking icon. It kind of looks like small stacked 12-volt batteries. It's an orange icon that'll light up, and you also see a message that says battery preconditioning has started. So again, it also works for this Electrified G80, which again does not have Bluelink, does not have connected services. And so the answer is yes, preconditioning is still going to work even if you don't have Bluelink or connected services. And so for those of us that do not plan to renew in a couple years, or those of us road tripping up north, that's great news, right? Preconditioning will work regardless of whether you have Bluelink or connected services. Well, it's not all good news, because my belief is after the 3 years are up, if we don't renew our subscription or pay for it, then our maps might not get updated. So if they start throwing in new chargers after that point, well, you might not be able to select it in your EV charging station list. And if you can't select it, then you can't precondition your battery. Now, there may be ways around it. Maybe there's another one nearby that you can select that'll still trigger preconditioning, but that's something to consider moving forward. Now, there is one last thing that I do want to mention, and that has to do with a glitch that I experienced with my GV60, where I couldn't populate my EV charging station list. It was just staying blank. And I've read in the forums, some people have experienced the same thing in their Ioniq 5s. And in that scenario, it kind of illustrates how actually not having Bluelink might be a good thing. I believe in that scenario, we're using a map database that's saved to the car's hard drive. Again, with the G80 and this Ioniq 5, they don't have Bluelink. They don't have connected services. So they're not communicating with the servers. They're not pulling new map data. They're just using what's saved on the actual hard drive. No worries of some kind of communication error, because I believe that's what's happening with my GV60 and some Ioniq 5s. They're trying to pull real-time updated map information from the servers, and there's some kind of communication error glitching so that the EV charging station list just comes back as blank. That's the only screen that comes up blank. If I search any other category in POI categories, it'll populate the list. So again, I don't know for sure, but it feels like it's some kind of communication error, and it's just not able to pull the real-time data that it's supposed to. But if you don't have Bluelink active, if you don't have digital services connected, then it's going to bypass that completely and just pull from your hard drive data, which hopefully shouldn't be glitching, right? So anyways, that wraps this one up, right? I think that's good news. We are not tied to Bluelink or connected services in order to have battery preconditioning. So for those of you out there road tripping up north, or those of you worrying about what's going to happen after 3 years, well, there's your answer. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.